let's talk about what happened with Axios media reporter Kerry Flynn. Kerry, so explain to us in layman's terms, if you could, what happened, because it's immediately, all of us, I think, immediately think, oh, cyber attack when something this big happens. But what really happened?
Hi, thanks for having me. So yeah, Amazon said it was a problem with the system that monitors its network load balancers. I know, sounds confusing, but basically you can think of those as the traffic cops of the internet. They're pieces of software whose job it is to ensure that no one part of the server network is more stressed by the work it has to do. So essentially one of them failed. You can think of it like a dam bursting because the sensors are telling you there are cracks forming and they aren't working. Does that make sense?
It does, because it kind of balances out here at the diner. Dave and I balance the load, so no one host has to do too much, and then Allison at home as well.
I love the analogy.
Yeah. How common are these outages of this scale, and why is it that one provider having issues just sends everything into a tizzy?
Thankfully, these outages are rare in general and rare for AWS. But when they happen, as you know, they ripple through daily life because pretty much the way the world works, we only have three major cloud providers. We have Amazon, we have Microsoft, and we have Google. AWS has become this really powerful system for Amazon. You may have seen ads for it on TV. Amazon makes these TV ads that show how many big companies rely on them. It's a huge business for them. But as we've noted, when that business goes down, you have these massive ripple effects.
Yeah, it was similar to what we saw with CrowdStrike. What was that? I don't know, about a year ago, when one single glitch really impacted the entire globe. Actually, that was probably more severe, I think, than this one. So what can major businesses, what can companies do to protect themselves?
Experts said that there's thought that perhaps we shouldn't be so reliant on one system, right? At the same time, though, businesses are, strapped. They want this ease of use. Amazon is a good service. So it's really hard to say what they should do. You mentioned that CrowdStrike instance. There was a lot of pushback and a lot of companies who were like, we can't rely on this company anymore. We need to look into competitors. I don't know if we'll really see that here because, again, these incidents are so rare, but it is notable. And obviously, Amazon will be taking a lot of calls in the future to assure their big customers that this does not happen again.
So, Kerry, is it over, or are there lingering effects of what happened yesterday?
There were some lingering effects, essentially, that Amazon said it's over, but things get stuck, right? You mentioned podcasts not downloaded. You mentioned all these things. There's essentially a backlog now of the internet that now needs to follow through. But most of the big hiccups are over. I personally dealt with this yesterday. I was on a flight from Vegas to Orlando, and it's already tricky at airports these days because of the government shutdown. But I was actually delayed on the tarmac, and they said it was internet issues. So really, there was major disruptions. Another little tiny anecdote is I have a smart mattress at home, and that went down because it runs on AWS. That means I couldn't access the app for the heating and cooling system.
Wait, a smart mattress?
Smart mattress. It's an example that shows how connected we are and how reliant on technology, right? I love this mattress, and yet I couldn't take advantage of it because my system relies on AWS, right? So it's true, when AWS goes down, real life slows down too.
Jim has more questions
about the smart mattress.
They track everything.
What does it do?
They track sleep, I believe, right?
Right. Well, I love it because of the heating and cooling. I got really cold at night. But yeah, I couldn't see my sleep data too, right? It's important, right? If you're taking care of your health. So that was an issue. My flight was an issue. You mentioned podcasts, you mentioned websites. I was really happy to see Axios, our website was up yesterday, but I know there was some tricky behind the scenes operations happening to make sure that that's true. And right. And that gets a little more severe, right? If we're talking about that we can't access news and information as well when these systems go down.
Kerry Flynn,
Wow.
I've learned so much. I don't know about you guys. Smart
mattresses. I'm all over the smart mattress.
Load balancers, and I guess I didn't realize there were three major cloud providers. I hadn't done the math on that either. So thank you so much for enlightening me. I learned a lot. All right,
me
thank
too.
you. Yeah.
You know, you could have a high-tech mattress. That is mind-blowing. That's what I took away from that segment.
Dave does not seem at all fazed by
that.
Not
at all fazed by
he
that
knew
one.
this.
I know a lot about mattresses.
Okay.